UK Gaza families urge Starmer to hold Israel accountable for press killings. I'm going to read into this piece from Byline Times, you guys. So a group representing 350 Palestinian families living in Britain have called on the Prime Minister to condemn Israel's systematic assault on the press and back an inquiry. Now, we know Keir Starmer's not going to actually do that as much as we would like him to. It would make all the logical sense in the world to do so, because we're talking over more than 200 or dozen or so journalists. There's been different numbers I've heard out there of journalists that have been killed, but we know that Israel has systematically targeted journalists inside Gaza. And the majority of them obviously are Palestinians. Foreign journalists are not allowed in there because Israel doesn't want the world to see what is happening, even though the world clearly sees what is happening. And the killing of journalists, we're talking specifically about the killing of journalists. Of course, what's happening in Gaza when it comes to Palestinian people has been nothing short of horrific and horrible, what they're doing. But journalists have an important role and of telling us and informing us of what's going on in the world. And when press officers and press people are being killed simply for doing their jobs, they need to be called out, and it needs to be called out on the world stage, and not enough of that is being done. We know Keir Starmer's a spineless coward when it comes to calling out Israel, and I've said this many times. But this is one where he could grow a spine, but I don't expect him to. But it's so frustrating that they just don't, that so many leaders just don't have the balls to simply just stand up and call out Israel for what they are doing inside Gaza. It's so infuriating. It's ridiculous. And it's all because of the Israeli lobbying groups as well. So the UK Gaza Community, a group representing 350 Palestinian families living in the UK, has urged Keir Starmer to demand an international investigation into what it calls Israel's unprecedented systematic assault on the press. The appeal follows an Israeli missile strike in Gaza City that killed 7 people on Sunday the 10th of August, including Al Jazeera respondent Anis Al-Sharif and Mohammed Qreiqueh's cameraman Ibrahim Zaher and Mohammed Noufal, 2 other media workers, Moamen Ali and Mohammed Al-Khalidi. I've covered this on Rumble already, but we are going to cover it here as well. These journalists are not just names on the screen. They are well known to us. They are friends, relatives, former classmates and people from our neighbourhoods. Their families, schools and communities are deeply woven into our lives here in the UK. The group wrote a letter to Keir Starmer, Foreign Secretary David Lammy and Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy on Tuesday. They have been the faces and voices relating to the horror back home to us, and their loss is deeply distressing and personal, the letter reads. The community has also called for the British government to take other steps, including the suspension of arms sales and military cooperation with Israel and use of diplomatic measures to call for the protection of journalists and civilians. The killing of journalists targeted through reckless disregard is a breach of international humanitarian law and an assault on the truth itself, the group writes, accusing Israel of attempting to disguise a genocidal project from public view. The Israeli military has claimed with no tangible evidence that Al-Sharif had served at the head of a terrorist cell in Hamas. Al Jazeera has denied the claim, as did Al-Sharif before his death in a public post on F. The IDF has so far remained silent about the 6 others killed in the attack. It's because they don't care. And because they've broken international laws so many occasions, they know they're not going to be held accountable to it, Israel. Or should I say the government? I want to make it clear, it's the government, not the people. We wrote this letter because of how deeply connected to our community feels to these journalists. The group's co-founder, Bashim Falejala, had told Byline Times, if I mispronounce any of the names, I apologise. On a personal level, they were the voices who covered our stories and showed us the truth about what happened to our loved ones. It is therefore deeply painful for us to see them being targeted and killed. Most of these journalists are locals to many of our community members. We know their families, their schools and their neighbourhoods in many cases. We can say that we know them personally. Fajilia himself grew up in Gibraltar alongside the family of Al-Sharif. They are great, friendly and supportive people, he said. Journalist Fatalilia said, had played a vital role to show the truth to the wider world. Checking on her sister who lives in Gaza, he recalls her response. You outside know better than us, she told him. You can watch the news while we have no electricity or TV. Through this message, she adds, we aim to make the public aware of the grave consequences that can arise from arms supplies to Israel, of how such weapons can have been used. We view the deliberate targeting of journalists as a clear and serious war crime, and we strongly believe that Britain must not be complicit in such actions. Figures from the Committee to Protect Journalists, Gaza officials and the International Federation of Journalists vary. but all put the number of journalists killed since Israel's offensive began on October 7, 2023 at over 180. The number is potentially much higher, according to the Wellston Institute Cost of War project, which has described Gaza as the worst ever conflict for reporters. The August 10th strike has drawn condemnation from across the media and human rights communities. Al Jazeera said that despite losing colleagues to deliberate attacks and working under consistent threat, Anis Al-Sharif, Mohammed, Qreiqueh and others persisted to ensure that the world sees the harrowing truth of life in Gaza. The network urged the international community to halt the ongoing genocide, end the targeting of journalists, warning that immunity for perpetrators only emboldens Israel. Reporters Without Borders described the killings as a media blackout strategy to conceal crimes committed in the besieged and starving Palestinian enclave. Director General Phoebus Bolton has said, quote, "The international community can no longer turn a blind eye. This impunity must end." A spokesperson for Amnesty International Australia said that Israel isn't just assassinating journalists, but attacking journalism itself by preventing the documentation of genocide. And the UK's National Union of Journalists have called the strike a horrific attack and accused Israel of systematically discrediting, targeting and killing local journalists. UN's Human Rights Watch office posted on X that Israel must respect and protect all civilians, including journalists. We must call for the immediate, safe and unhinged access to Gaza for all journalists. UK Gaza Community Centre closes with a warning: after frustrations grow each day that silence prevails. These killings are part of a systematic pattern that must end. Spokesperson for the Prime Minister said the Prime Minister was gravely concerned by the repeated targeting of journalists and called for an independent investigation into Al-Sharif's alleged Hamas links, but he stopped short of backing an inquiry into the killing themselves. That's because he can't conceal it himself to just criticise Israel for what they are doing, despite the fact that there is evidence blatantly in front of him and the entire effing world to say so. But that is the truth. There is enough evidence, there's enough photos, there's enough videos, there's enough witnesses of what is happening inside Gaza. We know. But those who choose to ignore it, they choose to deny it, they choose to close their eyes, they choose to stick their heads in the sand and pretend it's not real. Well, it is real. This is the real world. They are killing innocent people. We know they're killing innocent people. They are starving innocent people. They are targeting journalists. It is happening. It is happening. And you can stick your head in the sands as much as you want. But the truth is out there. So what do you guys think? Do you think Keir Starmer will do anything? Do you think the Labour government will do anything? I don't expect anything to change from them. But let me know your thoughts and more down in the comment section below. If you found this video informative or helpful in any way, please hit that like button. Share it across social media. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content. And if you want to financially support me in the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.